So, we're just going to bring together some of the biblical perspectives on the use of violence, pacifism, war. Now, Christianity teaches that people should work towards a peaceful world, and that fighting is always essentially evil. While some might feel there are occasions where war is just, as we've looked at in the previous topic, others, such as members of the Religious Society of Friends, or Quakers as they're known, are pacifists, and many become conscientious objectors. We'll come on to those phrases later on. Many people believe that all war and fighting is wrong, regardless of the purpose or the eventual outcome. These people would be considered pacifists. Christian pacifists argue that the Christian principle of agape, a selfless love, would mean that violence is never acceptable. One of the best known groups of pacifists is the Religious Society of Friends, or as known as the Quakers, who believe that any type of violence is wrong because they see God within every living being, and to harm anyone harms God. There are sometimes occasions when pacifists may feel that they have to use violence. A famous example of this is Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and I'll tell you more about him later. There are many actions in the New Testament when Jesus preaches about the need for peace. For example, on the Sermon on the Mount, he says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God." That's from Matthew 5, verse 9. Now, Jesus was seen as a man of peace when he entered Jerusalem, particularly on that Palm Sunday, leading up to the week of his death. He entered on a donkey. Okay, it's quite a peaceful animal, not like a king or warrior, but a peaceful man. And he would not allow violence to be used when he's arrested at the Garden of Gethsemane. For those, you might remember this quote, "For those who live by the sword will die by the sword." And that's from Matthew 26, verse 52. However, there are occasions, such as when he throws the moneylenders out of the temple, when Jesus seems to be acting in a violent or aggressive manner. But you would say that is a justified aggression, perhaps. The attitudes of the Christian church towards violence and pacifism are based on those biblical teachings that we've just mentioned. So those key texts, well, you could refer to the prophet Joel, who has a message from God telling Israel to prepare for war. But then again, further on in the Old Testament, in the book of Micah, the prophet actually speaks of a time of peace where they will turn their swords into plowshares. The Sermon on the Mount is from Matthew 5, verse 43 to 45, where Jesus talks about how you should love your, not just love your neighbour, but also love your enemy as well. And 1 John 4, verse 7, the epistle teaches that people should love one another because love, in fact, comes from God. Key words: agape, that selfless love taught by Jesus and felt by Christians for their fellow human beings. The conscientious objectors, the people who refuse to join the armed forces because of their beliefs. And pacifism, the belief that all fighting is wrong. Key people, well, don't forget Jesus, obviously. God in his incarnation of Jesus demonstrated through some of his actions that he was a man of peace. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a very interesting example. He was a German theologian who was a pacifist, yet actually became involved in the plot, to kill Hitler, because he knew that evil had to be stopped. He said that God would judge him on that decision. So, interesting ideas there.